After spending a week testing the new meta, I found something really crazy.
Remember Civ 6 and Peaceful Domination? Well, it's back. Except this time, it's even crazier. Because in the new Future Workshop update that this game is being played at, Infinite Settling was supposed to be dead. And as you can see, we are 48 out of 17 settlements. We are 31 settlements over the settlement limit. The developers removed the happiness cap when you go over the settlement limit, which means now you're supposed to be heavily punished for expending too much. So naturally, I had a question. What if I just didn't care? And this is what happened. Look at that. Cities that are at positive 140 happiness, 180, 120, so it's totally insane. And we are 31 over the settlement limit. That means that we are receiving minus 155 happiness in all settlements. We have a massive empire, a lot of settlements. We are doing the monastery spam, as you can see here, full of monasteries. Even with the nerfs to gold and unique improvements, it is still possible to do monastery spams. But the best part is, take a look at that, a military domination victory without ever having declared a single war during the whole game, and we are one turn away from it. So as you can see, it is totally insane. A peaceful domination. At first, I thought this was just another expansion game, but then I realized something much bigger. The settlement limit isn't actually the limit anymore. The real limit is the map. And once that clicked, everything changed, because there is a finite number of settlements that fit on a map. Because the AI now really expands a lot. As you can see, all the AIs have at least 10 or 11 settlements. So the map is totally full of settlements and there's not a single spot available to settle. So with the new victory system with points, extreme expansion might actually be a legitimate victory strategy, because the AI cannot do anything else to increase their points, because there are no more settlement locations available to settle. So if you're running ahead with the expansion, they cannot stop you. So in this video, I'm going to show you why this works even after the nerfs, the bonuses that make it possible, how to scale your empire step by step, and how this accidentally creates a peaceful domination victory. It all started with one leader, Ashoka Wall Renouncer. And honestly, he might now be one of the most unique expansion leaders we've ever had. The settlement limit nerf actually made him stronger relative to everyone else and finally shine over the other leaders, because his ability to generate happiness adjacency in buildings from adjacent rural improvements is actually insane, which means that the more populations you have, the more happiness you generate, and that completely flips the intended balance of the mechanic. So let's break down why this works. There are four main pillars that make this strategy possible. Number one is Ashoka's happiness scaling. Second, there's specialist mechanic that has changed and has improved by a lot Ashoka. Number three, the specialized towns and triumphs, and last, the expansion timing that we're gonna be using. And when you combine them all, you get something close to infinite happiness. Very early in Antiquity, I was already going over the settlement limit by 3, 4 or even 5. Normally that should destroy your empire, because it means minus around 20 happiness in all settlements, and that is minus 80% to all guilds now with this change. But instead, my happiness were sitting, as you can see, at an excess happiness of 40, 30, and later on it will even reach 70 or 80. Because every rural improvement adjacency was feeding Ashoka's ability, especially for warehouse buildings that, as they are ageless, they will get the happiness permanently. And this is where things become ridiculous. With the change of specialists, now specialists give 100% their yield adjacency, and I don't think the devs were thinking much about Ashoka here, because with him, specialists scale happiness insanely well when placed on ageless buildings, surrounded by improvements, even warehouse buildings. Take a look at that. This is the fishing quay and the harbor, and a specialist here will give me 12 happiness. Doesn't seem like that good because it doesn't have that many yields, but if your intention is to infinitely surpass the settlement limit, that means that you can translate your specialists and your populations into very high happiness yields, and that is totally busted. That is totally crazy, because with each specialist you would be winning at least 10 happiness. So your cities can be very happy thanks to specialists, and the more they grow, the more happy they will be. And as what is most important is to have happy cities, that means that you can expand your empire, have unhappy towns. Your towns will still grow because the food is not affected by the penalty to yields, and then send the food back to your cities, get a lot of population, and get massive boost of your happiness to your cities. As a quick recap of how I did it, step by step. So early on, I prioritized on expansion. I got a lot of settlers. You don't have to care that much about settlement limit because going over 2 or 3 with Ashoka, it's fine. Prioritize the happiness tiles when you grow your towns. The goal isn't perfection, it's momentum. And here we reach our pillar number 3, which is town specializations. With the new update, you can now purchase different types of buildings with the different types of specialization. So for example, here we could purchase scientific and culture ones, here military ones, here food buildings. But the most important one in this case is gonna be the resort town because it's gonna allow us to buy happiness buildings. And this will be massive, not only for the basic happiness buildings, but also for the unique quarters. Because when you research syncretism, actually, as you are Ashoka, you can choose. It seems like it's not that good, the Moria quarter, but the thing is that the Moria quarter is 2 happiness buildings, and I think I have to think it through, but I think this is the only unique quarter that fits both buildings, fit the same town specialization. So that means that if you choose the Moria unique quarter, you can now purchase the unique quarter, both buildings, so complete the unique quarter in all your towns and of course build it in your cities. That means that all your settlements from Antiquity can have this unique quarter that will be giving you plus 10% extra happiness in that settlement. That way you will be able to expand a lot in exploration while your Antiquity towns and cities will still be really happy. At this moment, to be honest, it's a little bit of an overkill, but it will be useful later on. There's this triumph that is actually insane, which is getting this triumph as fast as you can. So ally with 3 leaders, which is not something that easy to do, but if you can manage, it will help you a lot in exploration, because it will give you for each alliance plus 5 happiness in all settlements. And you are not limited to these 3, so you can get more alliances, especially in exploration, when you meet the distant land civilizations. So that means that you will have a lot of extra happiness in all your settlements, both homelands and distant lands. Something that you can do to make it easier to reach here is clearing this instant triumph that will be granting you 25% relationship share from diplomatic actions. So if you focus straight on into that, so get 10 diplomatic actions active at the same time, then you will be getting this much faster, I would say. And this triumph is actually crazy and will help you a lot. And this is how we finish the Antiquity Age. We are 11 settlements out of 8, which is not bad. Our guilds are not something that crazy, because we haven't been really focusing on getting lots of science buildings and stuff, or in the town specialization getting science buildings. We have been getting the unique quarters, as you can see here, in all of our towns and cities. So just to get ready for exploration. If you're enjoying this kind of content of really analyzing and going step by step, doing guides on how to maximize and optimize our games, consider subscribing. I will be uploading more content like this. Now let's take a look at what we do in the initial turns of exploration. In the exploration age, I expanded as fast as possible, printing out a lot of settlers and settling as much as I could. As you can see, I am getting a lot of settlers out into the distant lands. When you settle a new town, purchase immediately the temple. That way you will have a lot of happiness later when you go over the settlement limit by a lot. Grab as many city-states as you can. They will be very, very important later on. Also, I am using wampum belt, so they will help me because I will be expanding to a lot of towns, and if I have a lot of settlements, that will translate into a lot of gold for our revenue. Especially grab 1 scientific city-states because we will be getting monasteries to do some kind of monastery spam. And following this strategy like this, here we are reaching the end of the age. And this is where I discovered something surprising. The AI now expands a lot more than before, which means that the real constraint is no longer happiness, it's available land. By mid-exploration, most of the map is already taken, as you can see here, even though now it's the end of the age. This was already taken by pretty much mid of exploration. So if you want to settle infinitely, you actually need to move fast. At this point, I had a strange feeling, because I was ahead of the AI in yields, as you can see. I am 2700 science, so I'm much more higher than any of the AI, and even in culture I am 1600. So I was ahead in all of the yields. In terms of the victory conditions, I was ahead in all of them, or almost all of them, and by a lot. But I wasn't ahead by enough, because to win in the latter half of exploration, you need to be 4 times over the points. And it felt a bit bad, because I felt that I was totally dominating the game, but because I hadn't been focusing on arbitrary stuff like relics or treasure fleets or gold buildings especially, and stuff like that, then I didn't have enough, even though I had crazy yields, to win already in exploration, and that felt kind of bad. I was at 36 out of 16 settlements, so a really crazy game, and still I wasn't winning fast enough, because I focused heavily on expansion instead of relics or gold buildings and scaling. And it felt something was missing from the game, almost like we needed an expansionist or diplomatic victory type. And then it hit me. Domination was already happening, without having had any kind of war. Because I checked the victory screen, and as you can see, these points are stagnant because no more settlements fit on the map. So this is the number of points we need to get, and we're already very high up there, because we have 36 settlements. Without having declared any war, we are winning the military victory. We are more than 3 times ahead of the AI in terms of domination, and we haven't had any battles, no conquest, just expansion. So once I realized this, I went all in. I incorporated every city-state I could, of all the city-states that I had. I settled every remaining little tile, as you can see here, for example, or even here you can see that I have some settlers going in these places. And I pushed my expansion to the maximum. That is possible only after 75% of the age has passed, because before 75% of exploration, actually you need to be over by more than 4 times, so that would be almost impossible to achieve without going to war. But after 70% of exploration, it is possible. And now that we are 1 turn away of our 8 city-states incorporating, we will see the explosion of our victory points. Right now we are at 182, and you will see next turn what happens. As you can see, we are already suddenly from 1 turn our settlements expanded by 8, and we are 4 turns away from a military victory, and we could even settle some more, but I won't, because it would be hurting a lot our happiness. So the rest of the settlers, I will park them on hold. And as you can see, we are 30 over the settlement limit, 47 settlements out of 17. And take a look at that. This is our cities. The important thing will be our cities, because now we have increased our settlements by 8. So suddenly from 1 turn we have diminished minus 40 happiness in all of our settlements. So our towns are pretty unhappy right now, but it doesn't really matter, because we have already the win condition and the win timer. And look at our cities. We are not even having unhappy cities. Look, 150 extra happiness. 1 happiness here, which is barely, that's why I'm not settling any extra town. And here, look, a lot of extra happiness, barely happiness, but we are improving that. And take a look, all of our cities are, except for this one that I'm fixing it, all of our cities are actually happy. But take a look at that, we have 14 cities, and probably we could have more, but we have been spending our gold these last turns, especially for buying settlers last turn. But we have 14 cities with a lot of specialists, with our unique Abbasid quarter. Look at the insane yields. Now the yields are actually a little bit lower than they should, because of all the unhappiness in all the towns, because I do have the monastery spam going on, but all the towns probably are losing a lot of yields from that. But look, this is an insane game. And as you can see, we are only 1 turn away. We achieved the Domination Victory in the Exploration Age without ever declaring any war. It is actually a peaceful domination. So peaceful domination is back, and Ashoka might actually be the new Eleanor of Civ 6. What's fascinating of all that is that the settlement limit nerf didn't kill expansion strategies, it just made them more leader dependent, and when you understand that mechanic, you can still push empire size to absurd levels. Like, take a look at this one, it's 48 out of 17. And now we should be getting the win, as you can see. Finally, a modern age victory of domination without going to war. So a peaceful domination. This is insane. Ashoka is definitely the new Eleanor. So if you enjoy discovering strategies like this, especially with the new update changes, consider subscribing. I'm going to be analyzing a lot more mechanics from the workshop, including triumph systems or provisional tier lists from all the civilizations that you can play for now in Antiquity. If you want to learn in detail how you can settle infinitely in the current version of the game before they nerf it, check out this video here. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.